Okay, this video we're going to work on solving by quadratic formula. First example here is v squared minus 4v minus 2 equals 3. So first of all, let's go ahead and write the quadratic formula down. Remember, we will give this to you on the reference sheet that you will get for the final, so you do not need to memorize this. Okay, so here's the quadratic formula. X equals opposite b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, remember the first thing you need to remember is that you have to have this set equal to 0. So one equation must equal 0. So if I notice here it's not, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to subtract. So I have v squared minus 4v minus 2 equals negative 3. I need to set that equal to 0. Sorry, it's positive 3. Thinking ahead here. So I'm going to subtract 3, and then I have v squared minus 4v minus 5 is equal to 0. Alright, so now to use the quadratic formula, let's identify our a, b, and c. Remember, the standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. So in this case, my a is going to equal 1. It's here. My b is going to equal negative 4 here. And then my c is going to also equal negative 5 there. Okay? So now we're going to set this up. So I like to do the discriminant, which is underneath here. I like to do that first on the outside so the math isn't so messy. So if I do b squared minus 4ac, I'm going to take b, which is negative 4. Remember to put it in parentheses. Okay? This is a common math mistake we cannot make. Okay? Because if you put negative 4 and square it in your calculator, you're going to get negative 16. But negative 4 squared is positive 16. So minus 4, 1 times negative 5. So we need to do this all at once in our calculator. Okay? Or keep in mind that this 4 is negative. So if I do this, I know negative 4 squared is going to give me positive 16. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times negative 5 is going to give me plus 20. That's going to be a positive. So this is equal to positive 36. Okay, so now I have my value underneath, so I can go back and plug this in. X equals opposite b. So negative b, this would be a positive b, plus or minus the square root of 36 all over 2 times 1. Okay, so in this case, 36 is a perfect square. So my x is going to equal 4 plus or minus 6 all over 2. So this is when we do two equations. 4 plus 6 and divide by 2, and do 4 minus 6 and divide by 2. 4 plus 6 is 10 over 2, so that's 5. And then 4 minus 6 is negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. So my answer here is going to, x is going to equal 5, and x is going to equal negative 1. Okay, my second example here, I notice it's not equal to 0, so that's a first step. I'm going to add 10, and I get a squared minus 6a. Negative 14 plus 10 is going to give me negative 4 equals 0. Okay, so let's identify my a is 1, my b is negative 6, my c is negative 4. Okay, calculating the underneath, b squared minus 4ac, I get negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 4. Okay, negative 6 squared is 36, negative 4 times 1 is 4, negative 4 times negative 4 is 16, so I'm going to have plus 16. 36 plus 16 is going to give me 52. Okay, so now we're ready to set up the problem. X equals opposite b, so it's going to be positive 6 plus or minus the square root of 52 all over 2 times a, which will be 2 times 1. Alright, so now I know 52 is not a perfect square, so I have to look for perfect squares that go into 52. So I divide 52 by all my perfect squares less than 52. So 52 divided by 49 doesn't go into it. 36, 25, I keep going until I get that 52, I can split this up into the square root of 4 times the square root of 13, because 4 times 13 gives me 52. So I know that this becomes 2 radical 13. So I can rewrite this as x equals 6 plus or minus 2 radical 13 all over 2. And I can simplify that one more time because 6, 2, and 2 are all divisible by 2. So this would be x equals 3 plus or minus the square root of 13. Okay, another example from the quadratic formula is, again, make sure you have it set equal to 0. Okay, so then I have 11n squared plus 7n plus 3 equals 0. Identify my a, my b, my c. Okay, let's calculate the discriminant. B squared minus 4ac. So this is going to be 7 squared minus 4 times 11 times 3. Okay, so when we do this math, we wind up that this is equal to negative 83. So remember, anytime we have a negative with the discriminant, that means we're going to have imaginary solutions. But when we set this up, we would continue on. We had x equals, opposite b would be minus 7 plus or minus the square root of negative 83 all over 2 times a. So I wind up with x equals negative 7 plus or minus. Remember, when we have the negative in the radical, we need to bring it out as an I, 83 all over 22. Okay, and if I do my math and figure out that I have no numbers, no perfect squares that goes into 83, so this would be the final answer. Or, ladies and gentlemen, we might also see this as no solution also. Because in Algebra 1, we don't really get into the whole negative number, but I didn't want you all to be confused if you're the ones that go into Algebra 2, because it's really not no solution, it's imaginary. So we always call this imaginary, okay? Imaginary solution. So anytime you get a negative under the radical, remember it's an imaginary solution. If you still have any questions on the quadratic formula, make sure you see me in class.